Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Austin Yorski, Johnny Maloney. There is a lot of things we can talk about this week. A lot of things happened to me a few days ago. And I'm sure Austin he always comes with it. So
I can't stop coming with it.
Fierce.
I'm just
Right.
always coming with it.
Right. And we can start with Austin's stuff or my stuff, if you guys want. Mm-hmm. But I am super curious to hear about Johnny's one thing that I must hear about. Johnny, you don't have to go first, but I really want to hear about this movie you watched.
This one Johnny thing will blow your mind and restore your faith in humanity. Doctors hate him.
Dateline, my living room, last weekend. Friday, specifically. I finally got around to watching Batman vs. Superman.
Why?
I just felt like it was a mountain I had to climb. Like a greasy mountain. Like a mountain of greasy toilet paper that when you, look at it, you're like, I'm not sure if that's used or...
Do you feel like you've learned anything? Did you come out of that experience, more wise and seasoned, or was it just a waste of your time and several $100 million?
Actually, I think I learned something.
Nice.
Oh,
I think
sure.
I think I learned exactly why I hate Zack Snyder's movies. Like the very detail, the one thing where I'm like, that's it. That's what bothers me about all of it.
Not enough space squid, we know.
No. And if you had ever listened to me when I talked about that,
God! Oh my God! Please don't stop. Everyone, stop. Just talk about Batman v Superman, please, for the love of God.
Well, the one thing that I walked away with is that it seems to me like every movie I've seen that Zack Snyder directs is a movie of where the action, everything that happens, is total convenience.
But, that's script. That's not necessarily him, right?
No, but for some reason, it is this deep running thread through every single one of the movies. When I looked back and I thought about it, from his remake of Dawn of the Dead to Sucker Punch to Man of Steel, even to this one, and I want to be absolutely clear with you guys, Batman v Superman is by a long stretch not the worst movie that Zack Snyder has ever directed. I think it's actually even probably one of his best, to tell you the truth. And I mean, as sprawling a mess that is, when you look at his entire body of work, it is obviously better than the Dawn of the Dead remake. It is obviously better than Sucker Punch. I have a very low opinion of Watchmen, so it scored above that for me. And I even think that Man of Steel was a worse movie. For, a number of tonal problems and bad storytelling techniques and just stupid choices. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that by any means that Batman v Superman was a good movie or that I even enjoyed it. But it may have been one of his best movies. No, what I mean by a movie of total convenience, okay, is that nothing happens in these movies naturally. None of the characters are in positions where you can sort of see them naturally motivated to be in. None of them behave during the course of the movie in any way that makes any sense. It is just things happen in these movies because they have to happen. In Dawn of the Dead, they secure them all, and they leave them all, not because it makes any sense, but because they have to. Because if there's gonna be more movie, we have to have more fucking movie in here.
I feel like, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I feel like that is in keeping with the spirit of the original, in which they secure them all, and then nothing would happen until the bikers attack, which seems like a pretty convenient third act. Not to discredit your entire point, but I'm going to be forced to be the Snyder defender here, so I guess that's where I'm going to start.
The birth of the dead baby? The zombie baby?
Bad. It's very bad, yeah.
Yeah, but the only reason why it happened wasn't because any of it made any fucking sense. It was just because it had to happen. Like,
Oh, God,
none of the
I actually
character
really like that movie the more I think about it.
None of the character choices, none of their motivations, like nothing that happened in that movie, maybe apart from the very first act, made any fucking sense. It is the same in Sucker Punch. It is the same in Man of Steel. These characters all behave in ways because the script, the plot outline necessitates it. It's almost like I can see the creative team standing at the fucking whiteboard with like all of the points that are there and being like, that's our story.
But 300 and Watchmen are like adaptations that he didn't take that many liberties with.
No, but I mean there are problems with 300 source material in the first place.
True.
But then over and above that, the way he decided to adapt the material, which was pretty much as a fluff piece for the army.
Yeah, unreliable narrator propaganda.
Yeah, that was like, all of that stuff happened because it had to.
It should also be noted that although Snyder doesn't, write his movies, and a lot of them are, adaptations, it says something about the things that he chooses to do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he has final say.
Oh, sure.
If we're going to bring back Snyder Corner, I feel like we got to at least take Stephen King down a peg by the end of this sode. Just for old time's sake.
I'm perfectly cool with that. But, but speaking specifically about Batman versus Superman, it's like there is so much movie in this script that it literally did not know how to tell itself. If you ever listen to somebody who is trying to explain a really complicated, panicking thing so that everything just kind of comes out at once, that was this movie. It could not bear to dedicate more than half, not even half, like a quarter of a scene to Clark's character, which was, oh, hey, I was just gonna cook you dinner because I'm a nice guy like that. And then immediately it's like, Clark, I found this bullet. There's...
Well, they fucked in the bathtub. What about that?
That's not even,
That's some good characterization.
That was gross.
A bunch of bathtub fuckers.
What I'm just trying to say is that there was so much in this movie that was just because and that's the way it's got to be. They're trying to predict, they're trying to portray Batman, Bruce, as being this disturbed, kind of angry, really cynical guy. How do they do that? I know. He wakes up in bed and then drinks a glass of wine, and then Alfred's like, "Ooh, you've been drinking all the wine." I'm like, what the hell? Batman can't be an alcoholic. But by definition, he can't be an alcoholic because you can't be Batman and be a drunk. But it's, angry guys get drunk, so Batman's got to be a drunk. No, he fucking doesn't.
We're definitely going to get a comment where someone links to a comic storyline where he became an alcoholic, and I apologize ahead of time for everyone wasting everyone's time.
I want to make one thing clear.
Yeah.
When Johnny said, you can't be Batman and be an alcoholic, I want to make it clear to everyone that you can't be Batman, period.
I guess.
That's a fair assessment. I'm just saying that the amount of training that you have to do, the physical endurance that you have to do, the time that you have to dedicate to it, because you've got to be Bruce Wayne as well. And they made a big point of Bruce Wayne being super, super involved and proactive in this movie, because when a couple of aliens attack Metropolis, what does he do? He gets in a cube and drives to work because he's gonna fit everybody in his building into this little fucking minivan and drive them to safety. Yeah. Okay, no, so you can't do that, but that's just it's just a shitty way of demonstrating that Bruce Wayne is angry and cynical because he drinks when he wakes up first thing in the morning, and it's just it's fucking stupid,
Batman is only addicted to vengeance.
Totally. Just about fucking everything. Absolutely everything in this movie was a total convenience. It happened because it had to happen to get to the next story beat, and none of the choices that the characters made any fucking sense. I want to skip by some things, too, because everybody's already made jokes about the jars of piss and, shit like that.
Weirdly prescient in the current climate, and that's all I'll say.
Strangely enough, yeah. Who would guess? Charlie Brooker and Zack Snyder.
But you said, everything's happened because they had to happen. But, they had to happen because Warner Brothers is trying to set up a multi-billion-dollar film franchise spawning like 6 new movies. That's what
Austin.
That's why things happen.
That's the only reason why any of this shit gets made. But nobody says that. Nobody says that about Captain America: Winter Soldier. Nobody's they tried to kill Nick Fury because it had to happen to advance the story. They're like, the characters had clear motivations for why Nick Fury had to be cut out of the picture.
Well, I say why I like Deadpool is because it didn't feel like that at all. I felt like just Ryan Reynolds really liked Deadpool, which is why that movie got made.
Yeah, but they're making another one, right?
Yeah. But there was no guarantee of that.
Why did they get to make the first one, and why are they now making a second one?
Because of the first was the trailer leak, which got enough positive reception, and then the second one is because the first one made money.
Okay, so a positive leak that got good reception, and then they figured, we should do this because... Not because Ryan Reynolds... Nobody walked into, like, Ryan Reynolds' agent's office and was like, well, we can see he really loves the guy, so I think we'll probably just let him go ahead and do it just this once.
Well, they gave him a pretty minuscule budget, all things considered, but...
Yeah, they did, okay, but they did it, and they did it with a minuscule budget because they thought, well, maybe we can make some money back on this. And what are they doing now?
Yeah, listen, no one's gonna beat me to the front of the line to take down corporate America. I'm on that boat. We're going. We're taking 2 boats like Jason.
Why are you nitpicking? What I'm trying to say is that even though people want to get paid because it's all about dollar bills, y'all.
Yeah.
Even then, there is such a thing as obeying the proper rules of storytelling and having consistent characters and actually allowing the audience to sit down and think, hey, this is actually pretty good, as opposed to, I wonder how much money, this much of the movie has taken out of my pocket. If I leave now, can I get $4 back?
How much did you pay to witness this thing?
I paid no more than I do my monthly cable bill.
Okay. So... that's the silver lining.
So, and that is why I watched it in the way I did, is because the same money that I pay that allows me to watch television shows like Fargo, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Tom Hardy's new show on FX, Taboo. I just recorded that last night. I get access sometimes to meandering piles of shite that apparently I can't keep myself from.
Leon, are you in an earthquake zone? Because I keep hearing you vibrate.
I'm sorry. I don't want to talk about it. Okay. I'm sorry. There's shit going on in my peripheral. Okay. It doesn't matter. Just go ahead. I'm sorry.
So how? This is just a quick aside too. I did not know. Nobody mentioned this to me. Okay, but there's really only one Batman action scene in this whole movie.
The murder scenes.
No. There's their Batmobile murder scene, and then there's the Batman just being Batman against Superman and trying to kill Superman, and then Batman killing a bunch of dudes. So there's actually 3 Batman scenes.
No. Okay, so there's the one where they introduce him with the cop, right? Where Batman decides to bring a bag full of bats and then let them out the chimney as soon as he's beating up on this on this Asian slaver. Pardon me.
Okay.
And then the cop tries to shoot the shotgun at him, and then he CGs around the room a little bit and almost shoots his partner.
Okay.
And then we have the dream sequence where future Batman fights crypto Nazis. And he's bang bang, shooty shooty, gun gun, yada yada. Then there's the Batmobile sequence, right? Which is just car chase. There's nothing really particularly Batmobile-y about it. Then there's
he murders a lot of people with that Batmobile.
Yeah, he does murder quite a lot of people. And I like it that the first car that he upends, he decides to take with him for a little while. He's like, wait, I could use this. And then there's the him fighting Superman, which is not a Batman action scene, because Batman rarely ever goes toe to toe with guys like that, right? But I mean, that's in there. And then there's the short Batwing part where he's flying to go save Martha, and then there's the one Batman scene, the one Batman action scene where it's okay, how did this guy become Batman? Because so far all we've seen him do is shoot a bunch of dream Nazis, drive after some guys in a car, and then basically go like Muhammad Ali with this alien guy. So I was kind of amazed. I was like, okay, you're going to introduce a new Batman, and you wait until like the last fifth of the movie to be like, oh yeah, by the way, this is Batman, how he does his thing.
Right.
I thought that was weird.
Yeah, it narratively just doesn't work, and it also, like I mentioned this before when we've talked about it, or I may have mentioned in the video, that it thematically doesn't work because it happens immediately after he realizes the sanctity of life.
Yeah. Don't worry, nobody else is going to die tonight, he says, verbatim. And then
except literally everyone who happens to be in his way.
Yeah, pretty much. But that was like, that's kind of, that leads into another thing that I had, which is just like how ridiculously weird this movie was in terms of how it plays with the audience's foreknowledge of Batman against how this new Batman is. Like, one of the things that I really liked about Civil War was the kind of no-nonsense introduction of Spider-Man. But they took it very seriously, like, in-universe, to this point where it was like, Tony Stark kind of shows up at this place and is like, yeah, so apparently there's this kid in long underwear who's been swinging around Queens and, like, you know, doing some superhero shit. And he goes in, and we don't get any of that, like, okay, brand new kind of like, okay, guys, Uncle Ben's gonna die again, and, you know, like, it doesn't happen. Because it knows that the audience is familiar with Spider-Man, right? They seem to have created, like, an entirely new Batman here. And they try and bank on that, and at the same time turn around and just, like, give it the middle finger. Where, like, there's all these old stories about, you know, how things used to be, and, yeah, we were good guys. We're criminals now, Alfred. How many good guys are left? And, you know, the branding. And I've gone on about the branding and how it doesn't make sense to me. And now I've seen the movie, it makes even less fucking sense to me. Because he does it, and everybody's really confused. And even Alfred says to him, oh, what the hell, you're branding dudes now? Like, this is brand new. But then, like, on the news that night, they're like, Batman brands dudes, and now it means that you're going to get killed in prison. And it's like, there can't be a history to this and it be brand new.
I actually didn't even realize that. My issues with the branding were just that it doesn't make any sense because, like, if prisoners see that you were captured by Batman, why does that make them want to murder you in prison?
That didn't make sense to me either.
Yeah.
But then on it's like, top of that, I was like, okay, so he did this for the first time, and now it's a thing. Like, did he write a press release? Was he like, dear criminals, you may find some people in the penitentiary who now have the bat symbol branded onto them. I assure you, these are bad dudes.
I think
not bad dudes like you dudes.
The idea was that they're the worst of the worst, the kind of people that actually do get, like, shanked in prison.
Yeah, no, I get that.
But
how
I'm
do you
sorry,
get that information to those guys?
Also, even if Batman could get that information to this guys and, like, send a message to other criminals that these are the worst criminals, I feel like if I were a criminal, I wouldn't take Batman's word for it. Like, I've heard that old story that, like, pedophiles don't do well in jail because even, like, hardened criminals of every other kind look down on them and think that they are the worst, and they might be. But this doesn't make sense for Batman. Like, if I'm a criminal and I'm an asshole and I see that someone's been captured by Batman, I'm not like, oh, well, let's kill you because you met Batman once. I mean, it doesn't mean you're, like, working for Batman. It means that he hates you. I mean, we should team up.
My criticism here is that it's trying to have an established history with characters that we know, but it totally messes with those characters. It completely rewrites it, and it's like, you know, so like one of the big cruxes of the plot is that America, and this is another thing too, because Civil War, they have an international incident in Africa, and Wakanda is all like, we're going to have a United Nations meeting here, everybody's going to get together, we got to do something about these Avengers. But America is like, there was an incident in Africa, so let's fly one of the girls from Africa to the Senate, where us Americans can talk about how we're going to, like, take control of Superman. But, so one of the things is that people are like, oh no, like, you're not a god. Oh, what power should Superman have? But, like, in the last 18 months, they just erected this giant fucking statue in Metropolis because, it tries so hard to have it both ways, where it's like the deep, rich history of Superman, but also people hate him, as if, like, this just happened yesterday. It didn't fucking happen yesterday. They waited 18 months to start having Senate hearings? No! Fuck you! And yeah, I mean, for crying out loud, could they make Superman less mopey, please? Just, like, as a quick aside. I was really, really disappointed at the lack of Gotham in the movie. Because it seems to me like Gotham is such an important character in the Batman franchise. It's always got a personality. In every single Batman adaptation we've ever seen, Gotham is just such an important part of Batman. And this movie is so dedicated to Batman. Like, so dedicated. It is like they are trying to make, like, the coolest Batman in the world, who has, like, all the one-liners, like, you're not brave, men are brave. It's such a tiring... Like, Zack Snyder's ideas of cool are just so tiring and dated and... lazy. But, like, missing Gotham just seems like such an important aspect of Batman's mythos that they just totally washed over. I was really disappointed with that. I was also really disappointed that when Superman, like, realizes that he's wrong and that there's a problem, he tries to talk Bruce down for the whole of 5 seconds before he just decides, okay, well, I guess it's time to beat his ass now. And he does, too, because, like, Batman's just, like, shooting guns at him, and Clark's like, oh no, oh. And he's like, no, Bruce, I was wrong, wait. And then he just, like, straight up punches him. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's how you get through negotiating. Like, I mean, if Superman's supposed to be, a paragon of virtue and American values, negotiating for 2 seconds and then punching is a little too close to reality to be an ideal, I think. I was really disappointed that Lex Luthor actually said Doomsday.
Yeah.
Because I was like... I thought that everybody was just joking, that it was like, oh yeah, and Doomsday's in it. I'm like, ha ha ha, yeah, I've seen the monster, that's totally Doomsday. But then when they actually were, like, in the script, Doomsday, I was like, oh god. And then people who defend this movie and shit on Spider-Man 3, because it was the same thing. Venom shows up for, like, the last 10 minutes and then gets his ass rocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, does everybody know that Clark Kent was Superman? Like, did they just dispense with the secret identity thing? Because they had a big-ass funeral in Kansas. And he...
No.
There's a weird Schrodinger situation where it's like, Lex doesn't know until he does, and that's never, to my knowledge, ever really explained how he just kind of knows.
No, I mean, they had a big fucking, like, army...
No, I know. I think
there's
saying at a certain point, it feels like that information is now suddenly available.
No, I actually think. I could be wrong. I did see it 3 times, but I could be wrong.
You saw the extended cut too, didn't you, Leon?
I saw the theatrical version and I watched the extended cut twice because I have to.
Because this was the theatrical cut that I saw. I really did not think that my life would be enriched by the extended edition. I felt like I would just be wasting more time.
The extended edition solves a few editing problems and then adds a bunch of other things.
There were some things that I inferred. So, like, for example, in the theatrical cut, at no point in time does Bruce Wayne ever have the information that kryptonite's bad for Superman. But then I'm like, I guess he must have found it in the Lex files.
Yeah. About the funeral, the big... army marching down the street thing, that happens in Metropolis, and they make the little thing. The funeral in Kansas is just Bruce and Diana and a few people.
Because it looked like, the way that they were cutting it, there was a bunch of people, like, marching into a wheat field in, like, army uniform, and I was like, that's not Metropolis. Not a chance.
No,
okay.
I gathered. I mean, maybe it's different in the theatrical cut. I can't remember, but as I recall, there are like 2 separate ceremonies. One is the big public rah-rah for just because they know Superman died, and the other one is they're actually burying Clark Kent's body.
Okay.
Can we at least, Johnny? Can you admit that Wonder Woman's theme song is awesome. He's thinking very hard.
I think so, yeah. Which one was her theme song? Was that when she...
It went meow, like that.
Oh,
that is what it sounds like.
that was when, yeah, because I noticed at the very beginning of the movie, it was like music by Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL. I was like, what?
Yeah.
But then for the whole movie, I'm like, okay, I hear the Hans Zimmer. I hear the Oh, there's the Junkie XL. Okay.
Do you know what other movie he's doing music for? And I'm just so stoked by this. You literally don't understand.
Am I gonna shit blood?
Oh, I hope so.
All right.
In excitement.
I guess we'll see.
He's doing the music for Stephen King's The Dark Tower.
There you go.
Ooh.
See, I told you.
By the way, I did not like Wonder Woman's theme.
I didn't just poop any blood, but I think my penis just woke up.
I told you I'd bring her back around to Stephen King, but first of all, Leon, I'm just not going to acknowledge that terrible thing you just said. But
whatever.
There's no one who's doing more exciting soundtrack work than him right now. Obviously, for anyone listening who doesn't remember, he did Mad Max Fury Road, and he's also done a bunch of other cool projects that I wrote about in an article. But anyway, 25 minutes in.
Yeah, I don't want to go on any longer, frankly, because like I said, there's already a bunch of complaints that other people have managed. You know, like fucking Zack Snyder still confusing slow motion for drama. Luther, what the hell he's planning in the first place, because I still can't figure out what he was gonna do afterwards. You know, it was like, congratulations, you made two guys fight. You know, some other things too, like I can't understand why the alien ship is still in Metropolis and why the army hasn't moved it anywhere after 18 months, because that just seems like a safety hazard to me. The fast change of heart, gotta save Martha, fucking, yeah. I mean, like, it was obviously a mess, but you know what? I honestly do believe, like, it speaks to how little I think of his filmography, but I do honestly think that it was one of Snyder's bests, but it was still a waste of my goddamn time. And I still can't, for the life of me, understand what genius they think they're gonna squeeze from him in this upcoming Justice League movie, because it's probably going to be even more of a mess. Because we don't have any introductions from any of the other characters apart from little 30-second
trailers.
Not even trailers. Barely even teaser trailers.
Yeah, I mean, the Justice League movie is supposedly in all kinds of development hell right now, as well as the Ben Affleck Batman movie. And it's not hard to see.
There've been a lot of weird rumors about the Batman movie shifting around, from people saying, "Oh, Ben, yeah, he's totally on board," to him saying, "Well, you know, if the script's not very good, I'm probably not going to do it."
Yeah.
Well, I'll just say real quick, Johnny, I didn't even notice that thing about the branding where I thought it was, it didn't even occur to me that, this hasn't been established yet. Why is Alfred literally the last person to know when he should be the first?
And that's the thing. He is the first, obviously, where it's like, you know, it shows up in the newspaper the next day where it's like, yeah, dude got Batman symbol branded on him. And he's like, what the fuck, Bruce? What, like, is this what you're doing now? You're marking criminals? And then there's like a news segment, the next segment that's like, Batman's branding guys, and that means death. And it's just like,
it's exactly how they said it too.
But that's the thing, is that I was just like, did he write a fucking press release? Because that's how you'd have to do it. Because otherwise, it's like, oh, dude, shitty burn, looks like the bat symbol. Yeah, Batman kind of branded me. Oh, why'd he do that? I fuck kids. Oh shit, really? Now you gotta die.
Okay. We spent about a half an hour on this movie that we've. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Don't get me wrong, but we should probably move on. Austin, what's going on with you in your life?
I have infinite things to talk about. I'm back at school. This was just this one day alone. I feel like I have 1,000 things to talk about. I'm going to have to self-edit to keep it snappy. But one thing is that we got stuck in a mandatory assembly after classes.
In law school, you guys have
Yeah.
assemblies?
For an hour and a half, we had to sit in like the biggest class in the school and listen to them talk about like networking stuff, basically.
Okay, so you didn't have to like go to the gym and sit in the bleachers.
No, it was a big old classroom, and they're like, you buy a nice suit and talk to the rich people. And me and the only black man in our class were sitting in the back and just basically MSTKing. we were basically riffing on this presentation the whole time and trying very hard not to just walk out, because we had already signed the attendance thing. So, I mean, I get they're not going to like hunt us down. But when it finally ended, ended, as we stood up to leave, he said under his breath so that only I could hear him, "Man, this must have been what the slaves felt like." And my soul left my body and flew up through the building and into the sun, and I was never heard from again. And then after that, he's like, "Let's go to Chick-fil-A." And I was like, "I ain't get my money to those homophobes." And then he went anyway, and I was there, and the cashier was the most flaming, effeminate homosexual I have ever laid eyes on. And he's like, he just turned and looked at me like, "Look at this shit." like, who you calling homophobes? Look at this. And I did not have any comeback to that because, like,
apparently there's some kind of new management or new change or something, but I still don't feel like going.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't buy anything. I'm just the situation, if you can picture it, is very good. Like,
yeah, I do.
It was like an SNL sketch, basically, where I made a grand proclamation and it was proved like visibly, explicitly, incontrovertibly wrong. At least in the instance in this liberal college town,
right,
where anything goes because sin is in.
It is.
It is very much.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. Another thing.
Even the president's doing it.
Oh no! I thought we could get through it.
I'm sorry, that was just like a reflexive.
Yeah, I feel you. I also want to clear out. I have all these cases I wanted to talk about, but now I have a new semester starting, so I'm going to start building up more, and like I want to get all these off my plate. So
we're going to do a speed round.
Yeah, let's do a speed round.
All right.
So this case is called Boomer versus Atlantic Cement. Atlantic Cement is a company that makes cement. Yeah?
No, it's not.
I should hope so. That'd be a terrible name for a rock candy company.
There's no one named Boomer.
There is.
You're making that up.
Okay. So Atlantic Cement opened up a factory in New Jersey, in basically this huge, large, noisy, polluting cement factory in a area right next to one that was zoned for residential living.
But the area that the factory was in was zoned for manufacturing, commercial?
Yeah. So they weren't breaking any laws by being there, but the people in the suburban area sued because they were a nuisance. And if you guys are, vaguely aware of nuisance laws, like if someone is doing something that makes it difficult for you to live your life, you can sue them, basically.
Yeah.
But the cement company basically defended themselves by saying, we generate, millions upon millions, hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever. We're like the economic lifeblood of this community. You can't just make us stop. And how do you guys think that comes out?
Well, here's the thing. If you have, if you're being like shitty to this town, like due to, being, I guess, polluting and shit, maybe if you make hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, you have the money to spend to perhaps take better care of the town, like maybe find ways to not pollute as much. There must be ways to reduce your carbon footprint.
Well, let's be clear. This is not a pollution case. It's a nuisance case, which is...
I'm going speed round.
Yeah.
All right. The ruling judge lived in the near neighborhood. He told the place to go fuck itself.
Okay. No, like what is the exact complaint then? You said
nuisance.
I know, but like,
So like it would be
what is bothering
noise
them?
complaints or increased traffic and
Yeah, the usual remedy for a nuisance is the person has to stop the thing that's a nuisance. And in this case, it would be
okay.
manufacturing.
Oh, the entire manufacturing thing. Okay, I misunderstood. They're just loud and shitty.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely doing a bunch of different things that would be qualified as shitty, but in a nuisance case, like, usually it's the thing that you want is them to stop, and so they sued for them to stop doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, what they need to do is get a big helicopter and carry the factory a few miles down the road.
Do you think that's what happened?
Boom. No, I don't. I'm curious about what happened. Part of me just assumes that the giant corporation won, but I'm willing to hear a twist.
Yeah, you ready for the answer?
Sure.
Johnny?
I gave you my speed round answer.
Yeah. So here's the thing. It was definitely a nuisance. And so Atlantic Cement lost, but instead of being forced to stop doing the thing they were doing, the judge decided that they were too valuable to force them to stop.
Were they too big to fail?
They're too valuable to fail, I guess, or too valuable to interfere with. So instead, they basically just paid the people to deal. Like,
yeah, I mean that sounds more or less like what I was trying to say.
They basically it's this idea of punch and pay in tort is like it's illegal to punch people, but if they're gonna sue you for money, then what if you just walked up and handed them the money and then just punched them? Like, you're breaking the law.
Then you'd have bum fights. And man, if there isn't a single example of upstanding, just right side of the tracks American capitalism than bum fights, I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
But the case definitely represents the way in which, if you have enough money, laws don't really apply to you. And this is not just me being me. This is very much a thing that is on the books. It happened in the 70s, or I believe 1970, and it still is on the books today. So sleep tight. The next case I wanted to talk to you guys about was Queen versus Dudley and Stephens. This is British, but it influences us.
All right.
In the 1800s, there was people who were on a ship when the ship became non-functional, and they were basically lost at sea. And they were lost at sea for a long time and started dying.
Mm.
And so there's
and
Dudley.
Who hasn't been there?
Yeah. Dudley and Stephens are the two defendants here. There was another person on the boat, a teenager
named... Was it the Queen?
Nope. The Queen is just the government taking care of the thing.
It should be Crown, then.
That's the way it was written in my casebook, was Queen, but...
All right.
I don't know. It's 1800s, man. Anyway, so there was a teenage boy also on the ship with Dudley and Stephens, whose name does not appear in the case title because they killed and ate him.
How did they cook him?
I don't think that was in the case that I read.
Look, I'm just saying, if it was a waste of good meat, then it's the gibbet for them.
So they were rescued afterwards and obviously brought to trial for murder, and all the evidence that was introduced supported their contention that they would have died if they had not done that, and the boy would have died anyway, whether or not they did it. Like, the boy was like basically comatose from dehydration, and they were on death's door. Mm-hmm. But by killing and eating him, his fate was not changed, but they survived. But they went up for trial for murder. This is actually the first criminal case I've ever brought up here. How do you guys feel about that?
I sort of feel like, they got the they got the book thrown at them. I guess a little bit longer, I'm saying that it's not necessarily that they ate him, but that it was like, you deliberately killed somebody. You like, because it's still, just because you steal to feed your family, nobody's like, oh, it's okay. Go ahead. Take 2 apples.
Leon?
What
do you think?
What do I think about what?
Everything I just said. Are you okay, Leon?
Maybe
Yeah,
manslaughter.
No, I'm good. Look, I mean, look, sometimes you need to eat people. Now, I don't know. I don't know the answer to this one. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, what if you're on the jury? What do you do?
What, how do I put this? What exactly was the charge?
Murder.
It's just
Murder.
So they're on the ship.
Yep.
And the ship stops working.
Yeah.
And I guess they're gonna die unless they eat someone?
Yeah.
They're going to die unless they eat something. And then this
Right.
young boy who was pretty much guaranteed to die, at least, from what they say.
Yeah, there's no factual ambiguity as it was relayed to me in this documentation.
Okay.
He was almost unconscious from dehydration, so they put him out of his misery like a good couple of British citizens, and then thought, what the hell, fresh meat.
Right. Why didn't they just wait for him to die? And
Because
then
they
would be no
might have
problem.
died. They were also very near death.
Why didn't they ask him to kill himself? Look.
You're in the jury room, and you're like, why didn't they do something different?
All right. Well, I'm trying to figure out if there was literally no other option. Because I always feel like whenever people said, like, people give, like, the most terrible, like, moral choice, they're like, there's no other option. You have to do the worst possible thing. Because there's never any other option. It's like, I feel like there's always gotta be.
As your D&D dungeon master, I am aware that you very much don't like making these hard decisions. I mean, I can't force you if you literally are not.
Couldn't they? All right, so the boat stops working.
Yes.
Like, how far away were they from land? Because apparently, they couldn't have been so far away, I mean, that people wouldn't pick them up because they got picked up.
It was apparently not an option. I mean, you don't know how long the boat that found them was, like, in transit when they did the thing. They could have,
Or how many slaves they were smuggling.
Yikes.
Why didn't they break off part of the boat and make a smaller boat and then row away?
Leon.
Obviously.
Why didn't they put Kate Winslet on a floating door and then have Ewan Gruffin row up with a bunch of old ladies and be like, ooh, where was that handsome young man you were with? And then be like, he couldn't hang on.
Why didn't they just eat part of him while he was still alive?
I mean, that probably would have killed him.
All right, come on, Austin, hit me.
The
Give me
shock
a
of-
verdict
What
here.
about just toes?
The shock of amputation. Are we just giving up on Leon as contributing to this?
What? All right. What would I say?
I think he's trying to
in the-
find a way around to justify the fact that he's probably eaten someone in his past.
That's fair.
If I'm on the jury, I guess I'd have to look at court history, like extenuating circumstances.
I mean, the court history stuff, that's for the lawyers to do. And then,
Yeah, I understand that, but I feel like I should make an informed decision because I'm assuming that the death penalty is on the table.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm having like moral problems with this.
Yeah. It's hard. It's why I think it's so
is.
interesting. But
Leon,
It is.
you're not allowed to have
Yeah.
moral problems with the law.
I just feel like all they had to do was eat his toes. Just chop off a couple of his toes, eat the toes to survive long enough for him to die of natural causes,
It is
and
true
then eat
by
him.
it is true by that point in time that the British Navy had pretty much got amputation down to an art.
Yeah.
Jesus. I mean,
All right. Here's the thing. What if
Yeah.
these guys sabotaged the boat
assume
so they would have an excuse for cannibalism?
assume there are no facts outside of what I told you. It's a pretty simple, like, do you think it's okay to kill someone if you have no other choice kind of thing.
I mean, ethically, yeah, but legally, not the same thing.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
you can't just say to the family of this teenage boy, yeah, I mean, I know he's dead, but what they did was kind of acceptable.
Socially speaking.
Yeah, socially speaking.
Just eat his tongue.
Leon.
I have no answer to this. I'm sorry.
Just-
I feel
just
very uncomfortable, and I'd like to hear at the
Drink deep
end.
of the love that you see in his eyes, of
Okay.
the youthful vigor that comes from a teenager.
I'm just going to answer this. So what happened is
Please do.
they went to trial for murder. They were found guilty, and they were sentenced to death, which was then later commuted to 6 months.
See? Manslaughter.
Well, no, it's still murder because it was
I get
deliberate.
that, but like...
The idea was
sentence-
you cannot just kill people. Even if you think you have a
Right.
good reason, you cannot just murder people. It's still
You
murder.
you get what I'm saying when I say manslaughter, though. Where I'm like, you do what you gotta do, but we still gotta put a show on. Bow.
Yeah, you have to make a public condemnation of the killing of other people, but extenuating circumstances can be brought in the sentencing phase.
Yeah,
Right.
So what this
during appeal.
Case basically establishes is that even necessity is not a defense to murder. Murder is murder.
Well, necessity can be argued too easily.
Yeah, you could always contrive something. I mean, but that's the
Yeah. In fact, I was coming up with lots
Yeah.
of reasons why these guys were full of shit.
Yes,
and,
you were.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you were doing a pretty good job for a guy who is not trained in the law.
Thank you.
All right. So I have more, but we're like nearing the hour mark, and I still have questions, and I had other things I
We're
want to
not
talk
really
about. So.
nearing the hour
I
mark
have-
here. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, we started a
right.
little late because Leon ate his computer.
Right. I actually have a lot of stuff too.
I'll leave it to you guys
Yeah.
to walk amongst yourselves.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna talk about my time at MAGFest.
Nerds.
Most of my time at MAGFest was just spent, spending time with my friends, conversing and eating dinner and stuff like that, which is not super interesting.
I don't know. I find dinner pretty interesting.
Right, but it's not entertaining to other people, is what I'm trying to say.
Except me.
Right. Okay. So there are two things I want to talk about. One is that there was an orgy there, at MAGFest every year. This is kind of like for me, like I'm a square and I'm not interested in such things. But so for me, this is like the stuff of legends.
I just
whether or not,
want to get this like straight out of the way. Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
Is this like there was an orgy there, or is this there were invitations circulating to a potential orgy?
There were, well, like I said, I wasn't in the room for sure.
Right.
But there were invitations were circulated. Here's the thing. Like I hear about it every once in a while that someone organizes an orgy at MAGFest. I don't know 100% if I know anyone who's ever been to one, but I have suspicions. But here's the thing. I didn't know about what obviously I'm not interested, but I didn't know where it was going to be or when it was going to be while it was there. But after the fact, a friend of mine linked me to the invitation itself, and I would like to read it to you because every year there is apparently a theme, which I didn't know. I didn't know enough about it to know that there was always a theme. But this year, this was it. And I'm going to read it to you right now, verbatim.
All right. I'm ready.
WWE orgy at MAGFest! Exclamation point. MW4MW, which I'm sure is some kind of code for fucking, like men and women or something. So this year we are having a WWE theme orgy at MAGFest. The party will make you say yes, 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 yes over and over again. It's limited to 30 people, as it's like the Royal Rumble, because we can't fit many people in the orgy suite. To top things off, the orgy will have a gauntlet on who will last the longest. People who leave the room is the same as getting tossed over the rope. The winner of the Royal Rumble will receive a WWE Champion replica belt. Meet up at the gazebo on Sunday at 9 p.m. You can see me for more info. So this is a thing that just happens. I wanted to be clear. This is not an official event at the convention. This is just something that someone organizes.
I just want
every
to
time.
leap immediately to a defense here, Leon, and that's
Okay.
if you don't organize an orgy, they're
Yeah.
very unlikely to happen.
Well, yeah, I can't imagine.
They don't just spontaneously pop off in the middle of a Safeway.
No, I understand that completely. I'm just saying that the invitation itself is funny because the subject matter is funny to me.
Is this the gay agenda that we were talking about the other week?
No, because I believe it's a man-woman orgy.
Yeah,
I think that's the MW.
That's wishful thinking. I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna go on record.
I get the impression that if it were a gay orgy, the theme would be a lot more spectacular.
Okay, well, we just can't publish this episode now.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I just. I don't. You know what? I don't even have anything further. I'm sorry. I just wanted to read this.
Yeah, I'm not
because I think
I'm not gonna kink shame these little dorks.
I'm not.
Let them get weird.
Bless them.
It's just the fact that look, it's not even that orgies happen that is funny to me. It's the fact that there is a theme, and it's the fact that it's happening at MAGFest. Yeah. MAGFest is like. It doesn't really. It's not there's nothing particularly sexy about
Leon.
This convention.
Nerds and SJWs are like the kinkiest people in the world. They really are. They're pervs, every single one of them.
All right.
We are in the glassiest house here, boys. I'm worried about our stone situation.
I'm not throwing stones, man. I'm hanging gold plaques.
I've lost. I'm
just like, there's a part of my brain right now that is just like reclining in its chair, smiling, shaking its head, holding a pipe, imagining a room of 30 people all dressed up as Triple H, just getting their rocks off on each other. And it's fan-fucking-tastic in that room, let me tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. There would have been a time where I think we'd riff on stuff like this, though, like, furries, but like, like it's. Everyone's just so fucking whatever these days. Like, everyone's just being the grossest. It's like, cool. Just be cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw a bunch of furries there.
We're all horny for something.
How were they? Did you say hi?
Well, one of them, frankly, was hogging the Star Trek The Next Generation pinball machine, and I wasn't really happy about that. Because I feel like the etiquette is you play, and then when it says game over, you stop, and you let the next person... you look around to see if anyone else wants to play, and then you say, okay, it's your go. You don't just keep going just because all the machines are free. So that's a bunch of bullshit.
It's true.
Beyond that, I had no other problems with furries. This was not a problem with the furry because that person was a furry. This is a problem with the furry because that furry was rude. I did want to talk about one thing. Mm-hmm. And it's something that might interest Johnny.
Oh.
Bye.
No, you can stay too, Austin, but it is specific to Johnny.
Don't keep me waiting, Leon. I'm titillated.
Okay, for the longest time, like anyone who's listened to this show that documents our friendship, for the longest time, Johnny has had this kind of interest, I guess you can say, in recommending games, or usually it's games, video games and video game hardware and whatnot and software.
You beat me to movies every single time.
No, that's fine.
And I mean, I've recommended a couple of books over the years, but we don't really, we're not really literary corner over here, so.
No. It's okay. But Johnny recommends gaming stuff to me from time to time, and without fail, I always dislike everything that he sends my way.
Always.
Yeah,
Psychonauts. I'm trying to remember what else. There've been so many. It would take too long to even go through my Steam library. Yeah. But the point of the matter is this. Johnny, you may be interested to know that when I was at MAGFest, I played a virtual reality game. Oh.
I played something in virtual reality for the very first time. What happened was, there's the arcade with arcade machines and pinball stuff, but next to it is a game developer kind of area where indie developers and moderate sized game developers showcase some of their new games that are coming out. And you usually have to like wait not very long to play one because it's not like the main thing. Everyone's out having an orgy, so now but not everyone is in this room.
Or they're getting into their WWE tights.
Right, there's that too.
Which takes a
getting
while.
out of them.
I mean, if you know what I mean.
I believe I do. So there was quite a line, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this for Johnny. He's been trying to sell us on VR for a very long time. I'm going to stand here. It's going to take me another 15 minutes out of my life. It's no big deal. And I'm going to wait in this line, and then I'm going to get my chance to play. Because basically what everyone would do is they would put the thing on their head, and then they would say, okay, you have like 3 minutes to play with this, and then we got to move on. So I waited, and then they put the thing on my head. And Johnny, let me just tell you this right now. Mm-hmm. I hated it so much.
Yep.
I have never hated a gaming experience more than being in a virtual reality environment. Mm-hmm. I was just basically all right. Here two problems.
So one is with first of all, I'm kind of curious. What headset were you using?
I have no fucking clue.
Did you have controllers in your hands?
I had a controller in my hand.
Like an Xbox controller was in your hand?
Yes.
Was there a camera on the front of the headset?
I don't know.
Okay, probably not then. All right, so it sounds like you were using a Rift. Or it might have been an OS VR. I don't know.
Okay. It was black. That's all I remember.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, she puts it on my head, and she says, okay, now sort of turn your head up and down until everything is focused. And it wouldn't. Like, my eyes did not focus well enough for this to work very well for me. And the closest I can get it to focus was when I would look kind of down, which meant that when she strapped it on my head, it wasn't completely on me. Like, I wasn't immersed because like 10-20% of my vision was the real world. Like, I could see down.
Yeah.
But then I got in. And I didn't play some like dinky indie, BS that they didn't know what they were doing. Mm-hmm. I played a Tex Murphy. Okay, so I played Tex Murphy, and apparently there's like recognizable actors in it. So this is not a.
Was it called the Tesla Effect?
No, it was called. I can't remember.
Overseer, the Pandora Directive, Under a Killing Moon.
I don't remember.
Maybe they're making a new one.
I was in basically it dropped me in a mansion, and I was like, okay, so, and so basically I would turn my head and I would see myself in like a 3-dimensional environment. Like I turn my head. And
was it called the Poison Pond? Poison Pawn?
I genuinely cannot remember.
All right, sorry.
I didn't get far into the mystery.
All right, so you're in a mansion.
I'm in a mansion. Like I said, I can turn my head and see other things, but I can't like push forward on the controller to just walk forward. I have to look at a specific spot and then click like one of the buttons and then it just instantly moves me there. Like, it cuts me there.
Yeah, they've designed that feature in virtual reality to basically prevent people from getting too sick.
Yeah, and I get that, but it also felt like, the whole feeling about virtual reality in my mind before I put it on was this would feel immersive, and that is the least immersive thing I can possibly think of.
No, I absolutely agree. I don't have any problems with motion in virtual reality, so when I play a game that uses that teleportation system, I'm like, I really wish you'd give me an opportunity to turn this off and play according to my own comfort levels.
Yeah, I was not down with it. I was able to click on some things. I clicked on a computer, and Murphy in my ear, I guess he's me or my thoughts, says, it's a small computer, but it's not the size that matters. And I'm like, really? That is the joke you're going with?
Yeah. It's
embarrassing.
Tex Murphy is like in the very first first person Tex Murphy game, he picks up when you go to grab his gun, he's like, my trusty gun. We've been through a lot. Pew pew, and then he fake has a gunfight in his office and accidentally throws it out the window. He's a goofball.
I was not down with this in any way at all. I would think I was the only person in line who was done before she said I was done. I'm like, yeah, I've had enough.
Yeah.
I thanked her very politely, and then I got the fuck out of there.
You know, Leon, I'm not surprised you had that reaction, though.
Yeah.
Because one of the things, like ever since virtual reality has kind of hit the market, one of the voices that's becoming more stronger and stronger actually about VR is that you can't just tack VR onto something. It has to be designed from the ground up to be a VR experience, or else what you're getting is like an inferior experience. Now, I can't speak to playing Tex Murphy in VR, but I do agree with you that the teleportation thing is really it's a soft band-aid for a hard problem, so to speak. And moreover, on top of that, ever since I've gotten my touch controllers, which actually allow for like hand presence, so you can like grab and like open drawers and reach in and pick things up physically, it's a big step up. But I'm not surprised at all. People are still figuring out the game part of virtual reality. It's mostly a bunch of demos now, which are like, look, you can pick stuff up, throw it, ha 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 ha, wasn't that fun? No.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I mean, it's the way things go. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything. I mean, there are some other things that happened at MAGFest, but nothing I can talk about on air. So that's basically it.
Did you eat any chicken?
Yes, I did. I ate chicken at Nando's. It was very good.
Yeah, they make nice chicken
it was nice
for a fast food chain place. I guess it's not super fast food.
No, we waited only a little while. I mean, there are waiters, sort of, but only kind of.
Yeah, they're peri-peri sauces.
Oh yeah.
Pardon the pun, but it's peri-peri good.
Oh my. So yeah, I had a good time. There are some other things that occurred, but nothing I can like speak to on the air, and that is MAGFest, and that is it.
Wait, did you arm wrestle anybody?
No.
Okay, now you're done then. All right. Austin, are you still here?
I mean,
busy with other stuff?
Physically, if not emotionally. Do you guys want to answer questions before we stop talking?
Sure.
Let's try some questions.
Okie dokie. Here's one for Johnny, because you're the only one who can answer it, and it's addressed to you.
Oh, boy.
Cyretha asks, Johnny, do you prefer white or red wine, dry, medium, or sweet? While you're doing that, I'm just going to mute, because I have nothing to add.
I'm a wine pantheist. I find God in every wine. Preferences, though? I prefer red to white. White, I really quite like dry. Reds, red's sort of middling. I really like Malbecs. Reds I drink with meals too, and it depends what I'm eating. If I'm eating something like rich, if I'm eating something that's like red meat, then I'll have something suitably rich with it, like I'll have Merlot or something like that. If I'm having something lighter like seafood, I'll take Shiraz. But just like on its own, yeah. If you pass me a Malbec, I'll be a happy boy.
Okay.
I'm just going to assume that meant something and move on to the next question.
Yeah.
This one's for
Leon.
Leon.
What, Austin?
Yeah.
When you start practicing law,
yeah,
these words will mean things to you.
Oh, okay. I believe you. How does Leon select the background music for his videos? That's from Orpheus on Twitter.
Oh, I had a subscription to Epidemic Sound, which means I had access to a library of like hundreds upon hundreds of basically songs that are specifically meant to be in the background of things, either in film or in YouTube videos and things like that. And that's it. Basically, I choose them based on what I think works in that particular moment. Sometimes picking music is super hard because I have to go through tons of them. Like, okay, well, I'm talking about like fairy tales in this section, so I need something like medieval sounding, but also something that doesn't have any like loud moments that I would need to like go back and reduce the sound. And anything that has like clinking in it is bad because it's distracting from my voice. It's a whole procedure, but basically I choose based on what makes the most sense, and that is it. Awesome.
For a second there, I was leaving like silence, so maybe Johnny could answer, but he doesn't pick music for his web show, so that doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, I pick music. I pick music in very distinctly different ways.
Yeah. Jack Kane asks, favorite kaiju?
I don't know what that. I only kind of know what that is.
Just giant monster.
I understand, but like,
does Ultraman count? Because he's fucking ridiculous, and I love him.
Ultraman. I'm trying to remember what that is because that's such a generic name, but it sounds familiar.
No, I mean it's like it's
Jesus.
It was a guy who, like, you know, put on a suit and then...
Oh, it's a Sentai thing, it looks like, from Google.
I mean, except that, like, he would grow, though.
Yeah, well, that's a classic Sentai trope. That's like all of the monsters in Power Rangers. Make my monster grow!
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my answer is Goldar.
Yeah, I was about to say, definitely, literally any villain from Power Rangers is pretty good.
It's just that Ultraman looks like a mixture between a 1950s UFO and like a themed 80s aerobics competition team. No, you guys don't know what I'm getting. Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Spandex, colors, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, you know, it like that kind of combined with like, I don't know, a bad Ed Wood movie.
So yeah, I was gonna say something from Power Rangers, but since that's taken, I think this is a good time to shout out the Tarrasque, which is basically Godzilla from D&D.
I don't know if it's basically Godzilla, because Tarrasque tends to mind its own business.
Yeah, it's kind of just a force of nature more than a thing with like motives or anything.
Yeah, Godzilla comes in, fucks some shit up, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, atomic power was bad." Tarrasque appears on the horizon, and everybody's like, "Is he coming this way? He is? Shit, we gotta move the whole town."
Yeah. The Tarrasque, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically the final boss of Dungeons & Dragons. It is nearly unkillable, and even if you do kill it, it just regenerates. The only way, rules as written, to stop it is to reduce it to 0 health, which is basically impossible, and then to use the most powerful spell in the game, Wish, to wish it away once it's defeated. But if you do that, you're essentially so powerful that like the game isn't fun anymore otherwise. So it's just a thing for like fun challenges. Like, and in the 5th edition, I think it has a challenge level of like 30, but 20 is the highest you can even be as a party of characters. So it's just like a fun extra challenge thing, and it's basically
Cool.
infinite Godzilla.
Yeah, let's fight them next time.
Yeah,
Let's fight him next time.
Yeah, because we did so well at a spectator last week.
Spoilers.
Last week.
I know.
Last week.
I know.
Yeah.
Someone. Yeah. Okay. We got multiple questions about avocados, and that makes me think that people are coordinating behind the scenes to troll us.
But they're
Or
so
maybe
good.
something happened in the world of avocados this week.
The hot avocado news.
Yeah.
Hot scoops. I don't know if I want to entertain this, but the Jagenda asks, how often do you eat avocados?
Like every other day.
Not at all.
No, I very rarely, because if you go to the store and just buy avocados, they're not ready, and then like you forget about them.
What's wrong with you guys?
I don't know. It's a lot of things, probably. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I just got back from the supermarket.
I've even had chocolate mousse made out of avocados.
On a dare?
No, like it's it's a non-sugar recipe. where you're not using like heavy fats like cream, and you don't use chocolate with sugar. You use like actual cocoa, which is very low in sugar, and to avoid sugar.
I'm reading through the questions here, and some of these are pretty like heavy right now.
It was good. It was good chocolate mousse. Okay.
Yeah.
I can try a heavy one, but if I say no, then we'll just say no.
I mean, we're running a little short on time. Here's one that might be fun. Brent asks, "Why is Leon such top waifu material?"
Ooh,
can we just talk about Leon for a while? I like his head.
I've never gotten any complaints.
Your turn. Your turn, Johnny.
I think Leon is delightfully pragmatic. It occurs to me that cohabiting with Leon would be really beneficial to keeping clutter down and not overcomplicating your life.
I like his...
To where, like, things that go in the fridge that you don't eat that often, or clothes that you don't wear very much, would become, like, be like, are you really going to wear this again? Be like, well, no, actually, probably not. Or, like, you would come home one day, and the kitchen would be rearranged, and it would be like, I decided it would be better to have the spice rack over here instead of up here, because it seems like we're dividing efforts, and I would be like, yeah, let's try that out. That sounds good, because that would make me feel like we'd be developing. I like
his stance on eating teenage boy toes.
I feel like that would make sense, and that would save everyone, and it would not result in murder, and it would not result in
well, that's what we said.
It would still be growth,
pragmatism, like Johnny said.
Right.
It dovetailed. Right. I was agreeing with him.
I feel like we wouldn't ever have a problem watching a movie, or like choosing what movie to watch.
No.
I feel like it would be like, do you want to watch this? Yeah. Like that would be great. And I also feel like he would make me feel special because I could introduce him to things. I could be like, what do you mean you've never had pho? Let's go have pho like right now.
Silent. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, I assume that's food.
Yes.
What you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the thing about food is like, how do I put this?
You're
I
boring.
don't have refined tastes when it comes to food.
I recognize that, but like, there's a special delight in being able to introduce people to things.
Right. But at the same time, like, although I don't care I wouldn't get excited about eating pho, I wouldn't turn it down. That's the thing. It's like all food is just food to me. So if you said, "Hey, let's go get this
we'd go have pho," and then you'd either be like, "This is pretty good," or you'd be like, "This is unacceptable." And then I could be like, "I introduced Leon to pho," or alternately, I could be like, "You're so crazy, you don't like pho."
Yeah.
Dear.
We'd have fun.
Okay.
We'd have fun.
All right.
Yeah. Next question.
Sure.
Silent Wind of Doom asks, "What's the worst state in America? Worst province for Johnny?"
Oh, jeez.
So we're about to just ruin a bunch of people's opinions of us as we dump on them.
All right.
But it has to be, and I don't want to stereotype here, but it has to be a southern state, right? Like, it's probably Alabama or Mississippi or somewhere that would be unsafe for some of our listeners to go to, probably.
Alabama does have that dildo thing.
Yeah,
Look, a lot of states have dildo things.
No. One of them, like, inadvertently made dildos illegal.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was inadvertent. I think they're just idiots. Like, we were in that assembly for law school earlier, and they mentioned that there's an internship in Birmingham, Alabama, and my black classmate leaned over to me, and he's like, "Man, I am about to get lynched."
Yeah, it's Alabama.
It's Arkansas, and the reason I say this is because I just looked up quality of life worst states, and there is a report, and Arkansas is, well, basically their air quality is the worst. Their people are incredibly unhealthy. Basically, there's like kind of like these things about they judge on health and all kinds of other things, and the quality of life score out of 325 points is 68, which is very, very bad. So I would have to say, yes, it is a southern state, and specifically, it is Arkansas.
Yeah, I feel
I have learned that with math, and there is no better answer.
I feel bad generalizing, but listen, we got to get our shit fixed. As a Southerner, our shit's all fucked up. Yeah, an implication that the northern states are perfect. It's obviously dumb. That's not a thing. That's not a thing we're saying.
I fully believe that there are shitty people everywhere. Yeah. The worst person in the country is the guy who's about to be president, and he's from New York.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they need to cover my ass because someone's going to get mad at me. We're almost out, but Creature wants to know if a sustainable population of large flying, fire-breathing dragons were found, what would the ramifications be? I guess what he's really asking is how fast would we extinct these beautiful, magnificent, miraculous creatures?
Are you kidding? They'd be weaponized so fast.
I feel like they would present a public health risk so great that we would feel perfectly comfortable and in the relative moral right in destroying them. If they were giant and fire breathing, yeah, I'm sorry, but they've got to go.
If recent history has proven anything, it's that people are so fucking scared. People are so scared of everything. I think we would definitely flip out and bomb them.
Yeah, okay,
I feel like it would be justifiable.
Except you are neglecting the very idea that the president would love to put a saddle on one, sit on top of it, and be like, check this out! Yeah, that's right. Best army in the world!
Okay.
Here's the thing. I would let him, because that would end very badly.
Oh, man. But don't you guys think that we have kind of deliberately gone...
They've weaponized dolphins, man.
Weaponized is a strong word. We've put sensors on them and had them
find mines. They've militarized dolphins.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, we find a way to kill people with everything. But I think the only thing stronger than our desire to kill is our desire to kill the other way. You know what I'm saying? I realize I botched that at the end. But to kill them rather than to use them to kill, because we're so scared. Guys, our skin is soft and very stabbable. It's so biteable. It's so delicious and full of flavor from animals.
I feel like it would be. I mean, I understand what you're saying from a sociological standpoint, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like pragmatically, we would be completely justified in destroying all the giant fire-breathing dragons. Coward. No, I'm sorry. I mean, maybe if they just didn't interact with us and they all live in Antarctica and they just did their own thing. But if they were like giant fire breathing dragons as we know them, meaning occasionally popping into cities and burning them to cinders, then we're like, oh yeah, let's kill all the fire breathing dragons, all of them, and leave none alive and use all of their bones in our museum.
Yeah. Professor Jade, our doctorate of questions, wants to know, what's your gay porn star name? Mine's definitely Austin Yorski, because I've already built a brand. So I'm going to leverage that. If I was doing gay porn, listen, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. What's up? Come watch me fuck.
Buck Slicktip.
I feel bad about all of this, and I'm very sorry.
Why? It's the only funny thing we've said.
I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry.
I genuinely don't understand what you're so scandalized about. I'm going to mess this name up. I'm sorry. My mouth is dumb. Kirstine Haslinger, forum mom, asks, is there a social convention you find impossible to follow? I feel like there's definitely a yes in there. I'm just trying to remember what it is, because I often find myself being a pretentious asshole about stuff like that and then being embarrassed about it later. I'm trying to think. I think just
giving glib answers when people ask how you're doing.
So you just tell them the truth?
I make it short, but when people are like, hey, how you doing? You're supposed to go, great, how are you doing? And they're like, great, see you later. But people are like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, awful, how are you?
I have one.
Uh-huh.
Language is complicated, and people don't always mean exactly what they're people are trying to convey something differently when they're actually saying. So when people ask me questions to which I can answer in a yes or no, but I'm not sure whether or not this is supposed to be like a leading question where I'm supposed to elaborate, I will sometimes just say yes or no, because I'm not sure what they want from me. On my show, I deal in like subtleties and subtext, but that's fiction. In the real world, I want people to, if someone wants to ask me a question, I want them to ask me that. If someone wants something from me, I want them to very explicitly tell me what they want. And then I will probably do it, because I'm pretty agreeable, but I need to know what it is. And that is not always the way human interaction works. And I feel like partly I'm not equipped to do it very well, but I'm also kind of refuse to play along when someone says, so did you something or other, assuming they're like trying to lead me into like saying something elaborate, and I don't want to talk about it. I'll probably say yes or no. And that's not good, but it's also like, it's hard for me to do it otherwise, is what I'm trying to say. So that is a thing that people try to do that I don't get, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the boring answers would be like, oh, I don't go to parties and I don't drink and do the socially conventional like activities, but I don't know if that's really the spirit of the question. I feel like this is more of like, is there like a ritualized thing we all understand we're supposed to take part in? And I guess like small talk. Like I don't really want to just like we're expected to network in a way where we approach influential, important people and then pretend to be interested in them so that they will advance our careers. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to really get down on that, because it feels so like fundamentally dishonest. It makes me very uncomfortable. And
He's
so
a lone wolf in the Florida law scene. A rogue agent following no one's will but his own.
I really
would ask him about the weather. You don't know what kind of response you're going to get.
That's the thing, though. I wish it
Austin Yorski stars in 6 Lawyers and a Tube of Lube.
I wish it was cool. It's partly social anxiety, and it's partly that I just feel like I would be lying if I pretended like I cared about these people I'm only going to see once. So I think like just small talk and just like gauche fake socializing is my answer. But there's like a ton of stuff that I just don't do that people think I'm weird for. But that's the thing that came to mind. Anything else, guys?
So, Leon, apparently the game you played was The Poisoned Pawn, which is actually a fan remake of an older Tex Murphy game called Overseer. It hasn't been released yet, so I don't know if it's any good or anything like that. But I'm in a Tex Murphy game, you know.
Yeah, the one that got
I bet you're
kickstarted.
in all the games.
I'm in a lot of games. Yeah,
I believe you.
Johnny is very popular, very famous.
Okay, so wait a minute. So this was a fan project? Like this wasn't actually?
Yeah. It's a fan project. They're remaking Overseer. Like I can't speak to the fidelity of it. It might have been like. I totally agree with you on the whole teleportation thing. It's just like it's BS. I don't like it in games. It's like it's a shitty solution to a serious problem that some people have. But until we find better ways to like negotiate the space in VR, it's just not going to work. Okay. So.
All right.
See, now I feel kind of bad because this is obviously just a fan project. I thought it was like dumping on like a AAA publisher that was making it an adventure game. Sorry, guys.
AAA publishers are all in those adventure games in 2017.
Well, you know what
goofus.
You know what I mean. Major company with like an actual budget. Sorry, fans who are clearly just doing this out of love of the game. You tried. I'm just not the right market for this at all.
All right.
That's it.
So I think we're going to stop podcasting now. Last
Yeah.
question thing that I wanted to answer was someone on Twitter named Faltering Footsteps asks Mac or PC, and I think we all are PC here, so we can just knock that one out in like 2 seconds, huh?
Boom.
Good, we did it.
I'll always do it.
Yeah.
Anything, guys, you want to say before we go?
Yes.
Felt like we've been talking around something this entire episode, and oh well. I had a lot of puns planned.
Yeah.
But they're all gone. It's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. And on that,
I don't know. We might have a better chance in a week's time.
Maybe.
There's a whole lot of I don't know. It's up in the air right now.
Okay.
Wii U
Maybe next
stream
week
tomorrow,
the
guys.
undiluted truth will land. Sorry?
Not the Wii U, I'm an idiot. The Switch, they're doing a stream tomorrow where they're going to show off like games and the price and stuff. I'm excited. I know you guys don't. Nintendo.
You know who else likes streams?
Fuck.